We live in a state of constant, restless consumption. This drive starts early. As children, we look at what another kid has for lunch and decide we want that instead. We are born with the ability to desire, and we spend our entire lives looking for the next thing to want. But here is the paradox. We have more access to momentary pleasures than any generation in history, yet our culture is increasingly messy, and many of us feel deeply, consistently miserable. In the Gospels, Jesus rarely preached to a crowd without first addressing a human need. He fed people and healed them because he understood that a starving person is obsessed with their next meal. They aren't interested in words or profound messages until their hunger is attended to. Modern society is experiencing its own form of starvation. We are emotionally and spiritually hungry, yet we've become obsessed with quick, situational fixes that leave us just as empty as we started. This restlessness is driven by a specific deception that have become deeply embedded in our cultural messaging. The deception is the promise that situational pleasure, like a week on a tropical beach, is identical to lasting happiness. We are told that if we can just arrange our circumstances perfectly, our hunger will finally disappear. To maintain this pursuit of pleasure at any cost, we have developed an increasingly casual relationship with the truth. We justify whatever actions we think will lead to that next moment of gratification. But the foundation of happiness is tethered to truth. If we allow our integrity to become slippery, our emotional well-being becomes just as unstable. You cannot erase the line between truth and lies without also blurring the distinction between happiness and misery. By accepting the idea that our happiness depends on these fleeting situations, we lock ourselves into a cycle of constant pursuit and inevitable disappointment. Our priorities rarely change through willpower alone. They change when we see our lives in a new light, when we find the right context. Consider the world's best football player. He believes the sport is the most important thing, arranging every priority to support his career. But if his young son gets cancer, football instantly becomes irrelevant. He'd never play again to cure his son. Love and necessity rearrange our priorities with purpose. When we see what actually has value, the things we thought were vital suddenly fall to the bottom of the list. This perspective wakes us up from sleepwalking through life. It forces us to stop chasing irrelevant distractions and look at what actually contributes to an abundant life. If context changes how we see the world, we still need a practical way to act. What is the smallest possible action we can take to start correcting the mess? It's called a holy moment. This is the specific instant you choose to set aside your own self-interest and what you simply feel like doing. You pause, have a brief conversation with God, and ask, "What do you want me to do?" Then you do exactly that. These moments are built out of kindness, courage, or forgiveness. Forgiveness is often the most difficult because holding on to a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It is a spiritual poison that stops us from moving forward. These microactions are the antidote to our cultural starvation. They provide a type of nourishment that situational pleasures can never offer. We can see the power of these actions in the history of the first century. It was a miserable time, defined by hunger, sickness, and a total lack of human dignity. The first Christians didn't change that environment through marketing, slogans, or aggressive promotion. They lived in a way that was so kind, generous, and thoughtful that they created something other people actually wanted. They loved each other in a way the world had never seen. As more individuals lived this way, the movement became magnetic. People saw these families and realized they wanted that same peace for themselves. The lifestyle was deeply desired by a starving society. This strategy of attraction is far more powerful than promotion. It focuses on being the kind of person that others want to emulate. It's easy to get distracted by global problems that we have no power to influence. We read the news and feel overwhelmed by a world that seems too broken to fix. But we are called to bloom where we are planted. God wants us to act in our sweet spot, the area of our immediate lives where we have the most impact. That might mean forgiving a friend who hurt you, teaching your children how to listen for God's voice, or bringing a moment of kindness to a difficult workplace. Mother Teresa lived in this sweet spot. She addressed the human need of the person right in front of her, rather than getting lost in conversations about the things she couldn't change. Lasting happiness is found when we stop focusing on ourselves and start serving the needs that exist in our own time and place. We aren't called to be spectators in this life. We are called to take bold action and engage in the culture of our time. This requires a collective effort to re-energize our parishes and shake off the spiritual complacency that makes us feel like we have nothing to offer. Real transformation doesn't come from temporary sacrifices like giving up chocolate. It comes from an intentional journey toward becoming the best version of ourselves. When we reject the deception of situational pleasure and choose to create even one holy moment today, we reclaim our joy and begin to change the world from the inside out.